Mr. Darryl David.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as a small country with no natural resources, Singapore has done well to leverage on our one major resource that has allowed us to achieve all that we have in the past 50+ years, our people. Leveraging on our human capital has allowed us to thrive and punch far above our weight on the global stage, and is a testament to our efforts to develop, attract, and retain human capital. A key ingredient to sustaining Singapore's talent competitiveness and enhancing our human capital is a robust ecosystem that supports our human capital development, and education is a critical aspect of that system. Indeed, it's this belief in the importance of education that led me to begin my career as an educator in 2001, and it's this belief that motivates me to continue in my career as an educator today. I would like to declare my interest as CEO of a private education institution. Over the years, Singapore has made changes to its education system to ensure that it continues to be relevant. Now, with education being the key to developing people to their full potential, we need to continue to be innovative and visionary in our approach and ensure that we have an education system that not only develops our people to their full potential, but also one that helps them meet the challenges of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, sir, in my maiden speech a few years back, I spoke about the importance of creating I-shaped graduates who not only have deep subject matter knowledge, but also a breadth of other knowledge and life skills that allow them to operate across different fields. Now, by an I-shaped graduate, I mean the horizontal top of the I would refer to a spread of different skills, technical skills and knowledge, one of which will then go deep to form the vertical part of the I, and then the bottom horizontal bar of the I will refer to a variety of life skills and other skills that will actually anchor that individual in their journey through life. Now, the call for creating I-shaped graduates has far more relevance today than before, especially this age of disruption. Across the globe, we have seen disruptions happening not only in businesses, but also in how we work, play, and organize our lives. As the operating landscape of our lives becomes more complex, it is now more important than ever to ensure that our youth and young adults possess a diverse set of skills that allow them to traverse and navigate this increasingly pluralistic world. Ellen Galinsky, the co-founder of Family and Work-Life Institute in the USA, advocated that we need to possess 7 life skills that allow us to grow and learn throughout our lives. The skills are focus and control, perspective taking, communications, making connections, critical thinking, willingness to take on challenges, and self-directed and engaged learning. Among these 7 skills, I strongly urge the government to cultivate making connections and self-directed and engaged learning in our students and youth. This self-directed and engaged learning would indeed be an indication of the love for learning concept that is mentioned in the motion today. In an increasingly complex world where simple linear relationships are giving way to multi-directional ones, our youth need to see both the wood and the trees. This would require them to be perceptive and have the intuitive ability to make connections between seemingly unconnected events and make sense of them. Building these skills will require our students to be exposed to concepts such as design thinking and having the ability to oscillate between possessing a macro worldview and the ability to see how different pieces fit into that view. I would strongly suggest that MOE consider how our youth can be exposed to such concepts from a young age so that they could adopt a more holistic approach in dealing with the complex challenges of the future. I'd also like to take some time to talk about the issue of tuition and education, Mr. Speaker. This has been mentioned by Professor Madhav Mohan in his opening speech, by my colleague Mr. Louis Ng and a few other colleagues. I think there's a tendency to regard tuition as the scourge of our education system, but we should also step back and take a look at it from the perspective of there are times where students do need additional help if they are weak in their subjects, if they are struggling, for them to be able to have the opportunity to take tuition in order that they may actually improve. And I take the point also that parents who perhaps have the means to afford tuition of a different level would be able to pay for that tuition. We also do have self-help groups and community organizations that are able to provide tuition to needy students, to needy families, for students who need help at affordable rates. I think the issue here is perhaps one that I do feel strongly about, and that is for parents to understand how tuition fits into the education of their children. I know a lady who lives in my constituency, and we see her quite often at grassroots events, and I used to see her with her child. And increasingly on the weekends, her child would be with her less and less. And I actually asked her one day, oh, where's your child? She said, oh, he's having tuition. I said, okay. Next week I saw her again. I said, where's your child? He's having tuition. And one day I asked her, I said, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking you, why is it your child seems to be going for a lot of tuition on the weekends? Shouldn't he be here with you having some fun? And she said, what to do? He's so lazy. If I don't send him for tuition, he's never going to do his work. And I think this comment by this lady had me reflecting, because essentially what she was hoping to do was, by sending her child for tuition, that would eventually cure him, as it were, of the concern that he was lazy and not wanting to do his work. I think that's reflective of how parents then would view tuition in the context of their children's education. By all means, if your child needs tuition, I think we should be supportive for families who are needy, help them get the tuition. And if people can afford tuition, then get tuition for your children if they need to improve, if they are struggling with their subject. But I would hope parents would also encourage their children to take ownership of their learning, to be these self-directed learners that we actually are talking about, rather than regard tuition as a way of ensuring the children do their work. The danger of this, Mr. Speaker and members of the House, is that we will end up with a society one day whereby when the tuition finally stops, then what do you do? What do you do when there's no one left to tell you how to do your work, which is that between an exam-based academic achievement versus a skills-based academic achievement? I think one way of ensuring that we focus more on life skills is to explore how we can shift from an exam-based academic system to a more coursework-based or skills-based academic one. I spent 16 years in the Polytechnic as an educator, and I've seen how students who have less than stellar academic PSLE or even O or N-level scores often end up doing very well in the Polytechnic system. They are able to achieve good GPA scores in the Poly, which actually reflects their ability to do well academically. So they are transformed from being regarded as academically poor or average into good academic achievements. Now, the main difference, of course, is that they are now in a system that measures academic achievement in terms of coursework and skills capability as in a controlled exam-based environment. And one wonders if that is an accurate reflection of his or her potential. So while I'm not advocating the scrapping of the PSLE, and I acknowledge the proposed changes being made to this exam by MOE, I would like to suggest that MOE consider how it can make the PSLE more about a demonstration of other skill sets and capabilities other than the ability to cram and deliver. Perhaps the element of coursework or continuous assessment should be introduced as part of one's PSLE grade, such that the eventual PSLE score is more a holistic reflection of young adults' capabilities and abilities. The government has, over the years, increasingly recognized that there are multiple pathways to success. Having a degree, for example, is only one of the many peaks of excellence, and we have indeed seen many examples of successful people who do not have degrees. The fundamental objective of education is thus not the pursuit of paper qualifications, but the assurance that the receivers of education learn employable and relevant skills that enable them to succeed in the industry or career of their choice. In an earlier speech debating the President's address in May, I briefly commented on how the government has recognized the importance of providing learners with various options that caters to different learning needs and aspirations in the post-primary school education sector. Now, the same choices are also given to parents in the pre-primary education sector with different early childhood education options, providing different pedagogies and curriculums to suit different needs. While multiple options are provided for pre- and post-primary school students, the primary education sector still follows a one-size-fits-all model, where schools administer a centrally planned curriculum with limited room for variations. As evidenced by how our post-primary and tertiary education sectors have produced a varied pool of talent who are skilled in a variety of different fields, could we not also allow our primary schools to be more diverse in offering their own curriculum that caters to different learning needs and aspirations? I'm supportive of Ms. Rahayu's amendment that development paths need to be suited to unique strengths and interests. And I believe strongly that having different systems and different pathways will ultimately be beneficial as it produces different products. Diversity ultimately results in a whole that is always more than the sum of its parts. And I would like to encourage MOE to perhaps run some pilot programs in the primary school sector to see how alternate systems and pedagogies could also be successful. Mr. Speaker, sir, we live in an ever-increasing complex world where challenges are often multifaceted and closely intertwined, and we need to design an education system that adequately prepares our people for this world. A system of this nature must necessarily recognize the potential of each and every learner and create diverse pathways for everyone to meet their potential and aspirations. In this increasingly complex world, it's not so much about what you know as what you can do. I thus strongly urge the government to consider how we can continue to ensure that our people, both the young and not so young, are given adequate opportunities and pathways that allow them to learn and develop along different pathways, while at the same time master a set of life skills and domain knowledge that enable them to maximize their unique potential. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to just take a few moments to speak about our educators and admittedly the challenging jobs that they face. Being an educator is not easy. I always make the comment that you will never presume to tell a lawyer how to do their job. You wouldn't go onto a plane to tell a pilot how to fly a plane. Indeed, you wouldn't tell a brain surgeon how to perform surgery. But everybody seems to want to tell teachers and educators how they should teach the children in school. So it's tough. You have to deal with these expectations. You have to deal with the amount of work outside of the classroom. You have to deal with also the fact that you are shaping and growing young people and young adults. So I'd like to take this moment just to say thank you to all our educators, whether you're a preschool educator or a professor in university. Thank you for taking our children from building blocks to the ABCs. Thank you for preparing them for the mother of all exams. Thank you for guiding them in their coursework and their projects. Thank you for all the academic, the non-academic work and the administrative work that you do outside the classroom. But most of all, thank you for continuing to develop the one resource that will always be critical to Singapore's success, and that is our people. Thank you.